people that are showing up.
All right, uhuru, uhuru. Yes, indeed. We are back for the second half of our day 3 of the second plenary to the 7th Congress, the African People's Socialist Party 2021. Hope everybody had a good lunch, got some food in you, got some energy, because we got more to come of powerful presentations and so forth. But before we go there, I wanted to bring up S.G. Luezi to deliver news of the adoption of our political report. So we can bring on S.G. Luezi. Uhuru.
SG.
Oh, comrades. Thank you. Today is day 3 of the plenary of the African People's Socialist Party. And as you know, on day 1, the chairman read the reports, and that report was submitted to the votes of all members of the African People's Socialist Party. And self-critical that we didn't announce the results early on yesterday. But now I have the honor to let you know that the vote to adopt these magnificent historical reports to the plenary was unanimously adopted by the membership of the African People's Socialist Party. So we have adopted the reports. So I want to congratulate all the members who listened, studied the report, discussed the report, and voted for it. Woo-hoo. We're moving forward to 2023 Congress in South Africa. And I want to salute you, Chairman, for leading us, as you always do, in this splendid way. And so we're looking forward to that. Uhuru, Chairman.
Uhuru, Africa. Uhuru. Uhuru. Thank you so much, Comrade Secretary General. So, and Dexter, I mean, I think it's important because part of what we've done, and we do this differently when we're in person. It would have happened quite differently. And we observe some security precautions and things like that in doing it in this fashion that we've just done that. We try not to expose our membership unnecessarily, just giving unnecessary information to those who want to harm us. But it's extremely important. And because sometimes people don't understand too much of how we come to conclusions and what is it that guides our work. I mean, they might even hear a plan of action. They can see a plan of action in place. For example, we heard several plans of action throughout this process, but just taking one of them by themselves, even a plan of action, doesn't necessarily help one to understand what the whole picture is. And this is what the political report does. The political report is like the main resolution. It's the resolution that all the others revolve around more or less and speak to. So this is what we go out and we take on the work. We take on the work from an observations that's come from the political report. This is not something that's just thrown at people because somebody's the smartest person in the room and they've read all of the books on Egyptian religion or something to that effect, and it has to be translated through them. The thing about the political report And all of our work is that we show how we came to the conclusions that we came to, so that anybody can investigate that and can challenge the conclusion and say, well, I just did the same thing and it didn't work, or something to that effect. And it means that it's not just my opinion or just Comrade Secretary General's opinion or somebody else in the party's leadership, et cetera. It's now something that's adopted by the entire party and the entire movement. This is our report. This is our interpretation of reality. This is how we say that we have to be moving forward as a party. So I think that's part of what it is that we want to help teach people, so that even though we don't say certain things about our membership, we do help people understand how we do things and how things can be done. And so when we're having discussions with folk who have access to this process that we use, then they'll have a better understanding of what it is, that it's not just some vulgar opinion that we have, right? It's scientifically based, and it's something that the entire movement has voted on. This is a movement also that crosses time zones and different continents and what have you, and that's powerful. That's one of the things that gives it even more significance, and it unites the African working class. Certainly, the advanced attachment of the African working class with the same view, and our responsibility, of course, as cadre, as members of the party, as party organization, is to turn our communities into communities that have more or less the same view that we have. That's what spreading African internationalism is all about. That's where victory is going to come from. So that was an important part of the meeting on the first day, the political report, and we'll be seeing more and more. You will see this in the days to come. We'll still be talking about the political report. And so thank you, Comrade Louise, and thank all the membership of the party who took the time to vote for this political report. Uhuru.
Uhuru, uhuru. Uhuru. I also want to thank you, Comrade Louise, and
Louise was saying something, but he was muted. Weren't you saying something, Louise? That's why.
No, I was just say, "Bon, God up, get ready for South Africa."
God up, yeah, God up. That's right. Uhuru. So I'm gonna go ahead and move this show along. It's more than a show, though. This is real. This is African self-government, being demonstrated here, So we want to go on here and move it along. We want to go to the office of the deputy chair, who will be vending. So Deputy Chair Ona, you are up.
They won't let, it doesn't allow okay.
Uhuru, comrades, this is not Deputy Chair Ona's here to tell us, the Kinge, and I'm here at the Uhuru House, and I'm going to be showing you some things from the office of the Deputy Chair. First of all, everyone's familiar with our Buy Black Power campaigns, the beautiful cabinet here where we're able to showcase a lot of our products right here at the Uhuru House. Come with me, let me show you some things. Uhuru. One of the things I want to show you is these beautiful wallets. These are commemorative from our 7th Congress. These are $3. We got red and we've got green. These are $3. So if you would like to get one of these wallets, in the chat, please make sure you put in wallet, 7th Congress, $3. Put your name and your email address and we'll contact you about payment. Next, I want to show you these Buy Black Power blueprint buttons. We've got the small ones. How much are the small, Jens? $2?
No, $1.
$1 for the small ones. And then we've got the large ones. that are $2, a Black Power Blueprint. So we know how important a campaign this is, so get your Black Power Blueprint buttons today. What else can I show you? Let's see here. Oh, well, let's go to the coasters. We've got these beautiful coasters. These are $10. They come in black and red. $10. So put in the chat what it is that, if you want one of these coasters, put it in the chat, $10. Support the Office of the Deputy Chair. Hooroo. Let's see. The next thing is, look at these fantastic berets. They come in red, black, and green. The berets are $10. These are fantastic. I know everybody's got one already, but buy another one. Buy two. Get one in every color. There you go. Get a red one, a black one, and a green one. And we can't forget our red stars. Our red stars. The stars are $4. Make sure you go into the chat, say what it is that you want, how many of them that you want, put your email address there, and we will contact you about payment. $4 for the red stars. If you haven't gotten your star, get your star now. Remember, we're supporting the Office of the Deputy Chair. What else? We cannot forget
How much are the berets?
The berets are $10. $10 for the berets. $10. And here we've got, next we've got the African flag. We've got several sizes here. Here's one. This size is $8. What else? Yeah, we have some desktop ones. The desktop, these are $4. So everybody should have these on their desk. On your car, put them in your car, great size for your car. And then we've got the large ones. I'm not going to take it out of the package, but these are 2 by 3 and they're $11. So get your large red, black, and green flag. Now this you gotta get. We've also got bandanas. Fantastic bandanas. The bandanas are $20. Now let's show you what you can do with this. Gonna model here for you for a minute. You wear it like this, or wear it like this. Well, I'm gonna have to buy this one because I'm gonna get lipstick on it. So, let's see. Can you see the star? There we go. Or make a great wall hanger. So I'm gonna get this one. This one's mine. Sold to Ikinye. All right. What else can I show you here? Let's see. We've got the Vanguard 7 lipsticks. We've got them in an array of colors. We've got purple, which is for the Vanguard. We've got Revolutionary Red. We've got Mother Africa Gold. We've got Black Power Black, Solidarity Gray, Cadre Bronze, and Easeway Brown. So get your lipsticks. The lipsticks are $18. It looks like it says what? You can get the Vanguard 7 collection. You can get the entire collection for $100. Get the collection. Let's see. Did I show you the patches? Don't forget your patch. You got patches here. Chairman Amalia Shatella patches. These are $5. Get one for everything that your jackets, your book bags. $5 for the patches. Let's see, I showed you the buttons. Oh, look, we've got dog tags. You see it? I turned it around there. Vanguard up from the 7th Congress of the African People's Socialist Party. Dog tags. The dog tags are $3. Got a black one. And then we've got one in white. And let's see here. We've got Chairman Omali Ishitella, Oxford debate posters. Now we've got a limited amount of these. We've only got 5. So if you want, they're $15. If you want one, put it in the chat. Or if you want 2, or if you want all 5, put it in the chat. Omali Ishitella, Oxford poster, $15. There you go. Great. So we ought to see tons of. All right, sorry about that. We lost our camera. Can you see it there? Okay, all right, a poster. I see a poster. I see a dog tag. I see a poster. Malika wants a poster. Okay, I think I saw 3 posters already. 3 posters, so we're gonna have to count, so hopefully you don't miss out. But don't forget, like I said, we've got a limited amount. The posters are $15. The lipstick, gotta get your lipstick. Gotta get your Vanguard lipstick. Remember, we've got an array of colors, Vanguard 7. And your desk flags. Don't forget your desk flags. These are great on your table, so I would even get, 4 or 5 of them to make sure I had on my tables when I'm out doing spear sales or tabling. And your armbands. We got one for Black Power 96 and another for the Black Power Blueprint. Remember, these are $5. Put in the chat. I can't read the chat while I'm showing you these, but I'm sure everyone is purchasing everything. Here is the Black Power Blueprint coasters, $10. And don't forget your berets. They come in red, black, and green. Don't forget your stars. Stars are $4. Get a couple of them. Don't get just one. Get your bandanas. Remember, the bandanas are $20. You can wear them. You can hang them. And your wallets. So here again, I don't know how we're doing on time, but we're here at the beautiful Aquaba Hall and our beautiful Buy Black Power showcase. And here we've got a couple of Enzo products, right? It's a great pillow. No, if you saw this. This is $5, designed by Enzo. And look, I'm not gonna take her down, but you can probably see her. This beautiful African doll, designed by Enzo. She's $20. So if you want it, put it in the chat. If you want the pillow, put it in the chat. The pillow's $5. The doll is $20. Don't forget your berets. Don't forget your red stars. Everything you need to make your revolutionary outfit complete, we've got for you right here. Purchase it through the office of the deputy chair. Don't forget your flags, your bandanas. And if you didn't attend the 7th Congress of the African People's Socialist Party, make sure you get your wallets. So I've seen you in the chat. You got your posters, you got everything.
Uhuru, Kinge. A little over 4 minutes.
Okay. This is it over. How much time do we got?
4 minutes. Uhuru, 4 minutes.
Well, that means it's just enough time for everybody to shop. So put there in the chat. Don't forget, remember, get your wallets, get your coasters. All right, ODC, you're probably gonna sell out because I've been seeing people putting all kind of stuff in the doggone chat. So that means you got a lot of orders. So people, make sure you put the amount of items that you want. If you want 5 stars, say I want 5 stars, and this is my name. We will, and put your email in there. We'll make sure that we send you a confirmation that we received your information and get your order processed. Don't forget your desk tag. Do not forget your Vanguard 7 lipsticks. They're $18. The colors are fantastic, absolutely beautiful. So make sure you get that. You got Vanguard Purple, Revolutionary Red, Mother Africa Gold, Black Power Black, Solidarity Gray, Cadre Bronze, Easeway Brown. Matter of fact, just get the entire collection. It's only $100.
Hey, King Gate, you said
Yeah.
the host get a discount on the bandanas, right? Correct.
Oh, I should have known it would be you. You got to talk to the ODC. They're just $20, comrade. Get a couple of them. Get 2. I know you'd be out doing field work, so this will make a great part of your attire. As a matter of fact, everybody get one. Get a bandana. $20. Make up our revolutionary gear while we're out there. Certainly during this pandemic, we know we still have the ability to be able to get out, but we can really let the world know that the Vanguard Party is out here on the streets, getting the work done, moving the masses. And we've probably sold all.
2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. We probably sold all of these posters. Remember, we only had 5. So if you're number 6, sorry, but you're gonna miss out. But these are great items to certainly have to frame and have on your wall. All right, that's it. That's what we got. Thank you all for shopping, comrades. Make sure you put we've got your information. Okay, I see 2 bandanas. All right. Yeah, let's find out from Marissa. Way to go. There we go. So we're going to have, okay, Dexter got a poster and a bandana. All right, Dexter. Yeah, great, comrades. Woohoo! Okay. All right. Fantastic, comrades. I know we're going to have a time processing all of these orders, but that's great. Thanks for supporting the Office of the Deputy Chair. Remember, buy Black Power. Uhuru.
Guru, those are some excellent products. I had to get in on it, especially the dog tags. Had to get in on it. I hope everybody got in on it. Man, this is cool. This is cool. I love it. I love it. All right. Now, without further ado, I want to go on and now welcome the report Behind Enemy Lines. And that's going to be the report from the African People's Solidarity Committee by Chairwoman Penny Hess. So I want to go ahead and have Penny Hess come on up. Uhuru.
Uhuru.
Uhuru, thank you, Sayali. And I'm just starting with the African People's Solidarity Committee. Next slide. The report from Behind Enemy Lines. And next slide, please. First of all, I want to say that I am so humbled to be here. This has been just incredible, just an incredible showcase of the African People's Socialist Party all around the world, from the chairman's political report to the incredible Office of Deputy Chair report, the appeal, all of the workshops that we saw yesterday, the chairman's office, Black is Back, the office, the whole question of Africa, the Agitprop report today. Just wow, this is so powerful. This is, as has been said, the emerging government, the self-government of the African working class that is growing and presenting itself before our very eyes. And I want to salute Chairman Omali Yeshitela, leader of the African nation and our leader. And I want to support Deputy Chair Ona Zane Yeshitela, whose leadership has been profound in putting the work of that has been laid out on the political level, on the ground, the political power in the hands of the African working class on the ground. And to also say that so many of us, all of us in APSC, work under the office of Deputy Chair, and that is really, really incredible. And what we're going to talk about in this report today is we will talk about the national office of APSC and our commitment to build that and solve our problems. We're going to have a report from what's called ORED, the Office of Reparations and Economic Development, led by Comrade Kitty Riley, who works directly under the leadership of Deputy Chair Ona Zane Yeshitela on the Black Power Blueprint and on everything. And that will focus on all the comrades who take a stand for reparations directly into, are related to the institutions of the African People's Socialist Party led by the Office of Deputy Chair. And then we're going to hear an incredible report by the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. But before I do that, I think that we feel that we have to, and we have a responsibility to lay out the political basis for the formation of the African People's Solidarity Committee and why it was that Chairman Omali Yeshitela came to the conclusion that all white people had to be organized under the leadership of the African Revolution and the African People's Socialist Party if we were going to be progressive. If there was anything that we wanted to see change, and recognize the system of imperialism and brutal system of colonialism that exists, then we have to be organized under the leadership of the African Revolution, which is an incredible honor. And so I want to start by saying that because the party is winning and that it is changing the world, and white people for the first time have a place in the African Revolution, which is the world revolution. And it is a revolutionary assignment behind enemy lines as a strategic component of the African Revolution, as the chairman has laid out, to fracture this unity that the white population, the colonizer population, has always had with our own ruling class, sitting on the pedestal of the oppression of African people and the oppressed and colonized of the world. And I want to say that this understanding of the existence of APSD, and there is nothing else like this in the entire world. There is no other African revolution, and there is no other African People's Socialist Party, and there is no other African People's Solidarity Committee. And this is the responsibility of one person, and that is Chairman Omali Yeshitela. And I can only express my deepest respect and just profound awe at the leadership of the chairman. And I think that it is important for us to know that as incredible as this period is, that it was the chairman who brought that about, and that the chairman was organizing in the late 1960s and then into the 1970s, and in 1972 organized and built the African People's Socialist Party at a time when the African Revolution was under the most vicious assault of a US government counterinsurgency against this revolution that was taking place inside the borders of the United States. And revolution was the main trend in the world, but all of the oppressed and colonized peoples on the planet Earth looked to the African Revolution inside the US to know that the US had to fight on at least two fronts. In Vietnam, and they had to fight the incredible Vietnamese revolution, anti-colonial struggle, which was victorious and kicked the ass of the US. But the Vietnamese knew that the US was also fighting within the borders of the US against the African revolution that was going on there. And they saw that very clearly as their allies and another front of the struggle of the anti-colonial struggle of the world. But the chairman took it on to sum up this counterinsurgency. And before the cordite had settled from the air, as chairman has said, before the prisoners were identified and the bodies counted in the wake of this vicious US counterinsurgency, Chairman O'Malley, as a very young person, barely maybe 30 years old, took it upon himself to complete the Black Revolution of the 60s, regardless of the personal price to himself. And he had to understand, as he has laid out and told us, what happened when only a few years before the 1970s, the entire planet was rocked by and inspired by the revolutionary leadership of the African working class inside the US and in other places in the world as well. And so if we talk about the African People's Solidarity Committee, we have to talk about counterinsurgency. We have to talk about the colonial state assault, politically, militarily, economically, psychologically. And we have to talk about Chairman Omali Yeshitela. So the US government understood very clearly that until the African Revolution inside the US was crushed, that they would have no class peace inside the US or around the world, for the oppressed peoples of the world look to Africans for their leadership in so many ways. And with the defeat of the African Revolution, the African working class as a social force was seriously wounded temporarily. And many of the leaders of the African Revolution had been assassinated, were locked up, as we know, and as the chairman has written and defined that this was a counterinsurgency. And as the chairman has written since early on, when the counterinsurgency happened, white people ran as fast as we could to return to life on the pedestal. Hippies took baths, he said. White radicals went back to college, sitting on the pedestal, just going right back to the tree-lined streets of white America as the colonizer nation. And in a paper that the chairman shared with us that was published in the Burning Spear over several months in 1980, the chairman wrote, "This then is a brief description of the period into which the African People's Socialist Party was born. It was a period of tremendous weakness, which was characterized by the absence of a strong revolutionary center, ideological chaos resulting from our military defeat." I'm sorry, what does that say?
You're covering the screen.
Oh, I'm covering the screen, sorry. Okay, thank you. That this was a period of tremendous weakness, which was characterized by the absence of a strong revolutionary center, ideological chaos resulting from our military defeat, and the ideological assault by the ideological imperialists, who were now joined by a significant sector of our Black radical intelligentsia, and a disappearance of material resources, which were now going to the ideological imperialists and their Black allies. So there was no surviving veterans or dominant political theory or organization to sum up this period and what happened. And the chairman had to take this on himself. And so he took on solving, as he has laid out in his political reports, all the political theory, the need for political theory, creating a political theory, looking at Marx, seeing this question of parasitic capitalism and the question of primitive accumulation of capital, and understanding that that term was a horrible term used by white people to cover over the genocide, the kidnapping, the enslavement, the colonial terror, rape, and plunder of African people and oppressed and colonized peoples on the planet Earth. But he correctly identified the fact that capitalism is born on the backs, on the imperialism and colonialism of Europe, assaulting Africa and assaulting African and oppressed peoples of the planet. The chairman summed up the need for a party and a cadre organization, the need and created tactics and strategy to win as many forces as possible to a position of independence. The question of colonialism was defined from the very beginning. The state and the insidious nature of the concept of racism, which is something that upholds imperialism and the colonial domination of African people. He summed up neocolonialism. He fought for state power from the very beginning into the hands of the African working class. And he fought for the resources and defined the whole question of reparations from 30, 35, 40 years ago as a revolutionary demand that would be about bringing down this system built at the expense of African people. And in 1980, in this paper, the chairman wrote, "Do you think this was easy?" No, it was not easy. It was brutal. It was work. It was struggle under the most difficult of circumstances. It was hunger and evictions from our homes and offices because of our inability to pay the rent. It was swimming upstream, attempting to organize a demoralized and cynical Black community that had witnessed and internalized the defeat of the Black liberation. No, it was not easy. And so the chairman's strategy to build the African People's Solidarity Committee, to extend the African Revolution into the belly of the beast, this broke the encirclement that African workers were forced into. It began to open up the resources, and it was an incredible move forward. And during this process, the chairman defined reparations not as something for the enslavement of African people alone, but as the stolen resources of 600 years of colonial domination in which African people have produced life and real life for white people and not for themselves, and that the only answer to this was power in the hands of the African working class. But there were some nominal white supporters, but we were riddled with the opportunism that permeates the colonizer population, especially in the face of the defeat of the African Revolution. And the chairman couldn't deploy us. He had to create us. He had to win us. He had to create organization and teach us, and at times had whole studies every week that took 8-10 hours to begin to struggle with us profoundly and what it means to adopt the worldview of the African working class and to become African internationalists. And so he had to create cadre. He had to deepen the political line of African internationalism, and of course could do so easily because we carried out opportunism constantly. And it took a long time to win us. And the chairman had patience and to win us to really embrace African internationalism so we could come to the same conclusions that the party does of what we have to do, that we have to go in and permeate the colonizer society. We have to recognize and take responsibility for our complicity as the colonizers in carrying out the state and the violence against African people and in Africa and inside the United States, and what's called the lynchings, what's called, burning down Tulsa, stealing the resources every time African people had amassed it. This is what we had to come to grips with. We have to look at the truth about who we are. And that was the leadership of Chairman Omali Yeshitela that showed us that truth, called on us and won us to take responsibility for it, and then to see the future that's our future. And a lot of this happened in the Oakland years, the incredible Oakland years, which must be summed up. And that's another discussion. But that was in the 1980s. And there was even a period of time of about 4 years when the chairman disbanded APSC because of the opportunism. And it was only in 1985 that we had a struggle in the entire organization, and a number of people left at that time, number of people that were members of APSC left in the 1985 struggle. But all of those that stayed were incredibly united and enthusiastic and excited about going forward for the first time as African internationalists. So this is what can give white people a sense of humanity, a participation in the human population, and to end our relationship with the US imperialism, with the violence of colonialism, and with the benefactors of the blood-sucking parasitic system. And it lets us take responsibility and overturn it, and to unite with it through concrete practice, not through unlearning our racism, although we do change our thoughts because of this practice, because of the material reality of the work that we are called on to carry out, directly accountable to the National Central Committee of the African People's Socialist Party in the office of the chairman and the office of deputy chair. So it has the existence of APSC and the work of Chairman Omali Yeshitela has forever fractured the political unity of the colonizer with our own ruling class. It is incredibly heroic and historic, and I can't say how much my respect and revolutionary love for Chairman Omali Yeshitela and this African People's Socialist Party and the leadership of the African working class and Deputy Chair Ona Zene Yeshitela and all of the brilliant, humbling leaders of the party that is the vision for the future that we want to be part of. And I do want to salute Deputy Chair Ona Zene Yeshitela, who is brilliant and visionary in her day-to-day work, and that this is the work that APSC, the leadership that APSC is under in our work. And she sets the bar for how revolutionary work is done, and that the incipient, or not so much incipient anymore, the growing state power of the African working class, and thank you, Deputy Chair Ona Zene, because this is the face of the African working class who took the chairman's theory and made it real on the ground. And I have seen her copy on her desk when I was back in St. Pete, her copy of the political report of whatever year, opened and underlined, and to the mandates of her office. She takes it every single mandate literally and makes it happen. And that we have witnessed this, and we also recognize and really unite with her struggle for us in APSC and USM in this period to take on going to the money sector and the struggle from the chairman, not just as a demonstration, but to get the money and force the ruling class to pay the reparations, especially in this period when they are incredibly vulnerable due to the resistance of African people and the leadership of the organized African working class. So next slide, I want to actually, next slide after that, sorry, next slide. Yeah, so I want to just have everybody from the National Central Committee of the African People's Solidarity Committee turn on their window, or whatever you call it, unmute and turn your video on. And I would just like to very quickly, these are incredible comrades who are a part of the leadership of the African People's Solidarity Committee, again, directly under the National Central Committee of the party, the office of the chairman, and the office of Deputy Chair Ona Zene Yeshitela. So I would like to introduce Allison Haney, who is the APSC Secretary General. She's also the Uhuru Furniture Philadelphia manager under the office of Deputy Chair.
Uhuru, 5 minutes.
Uhuru. Kitty Riley, Office of Reparations and Economic Development under the office of Deputy Chair. Uhuru Kitty. Uhuru Wagner. Uhuru Foods and Pies, saw incredible reports just the other day under the Office of Deputy Chair. Jesse Neville, Chair of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. We'll see him in a few minutes. Comrade Lisa Watson, APSC Promotions, and also has the honor of being staff of the party's Department of Agitprop under Director Akile Anai. Janice Kant, Uhuru Foods, St. Pete, and also under the office of Deputy Chair Ona Zene Yeshitela, and so much more. Stephanie Midler, Uhuru Furniture, Oakland, and formerly of the Western Regional Representative. Really want to salute Comrade Stephanie out in Oakland. Ali Ayello, who is formerly the Southern Regional Rep and is now the newly appointed Western Regional Rep, who just moved out to the West Coast. Just really salute you, so excited. And to Comrade Hallie Murray, who is the Northern Regional Rep. So I'm going to go as fast as I can, timekeeper, but I'm going to need about 8 more minutes. So again, slide 7, please. And our mandates, I laid out this is what we're going to be covering. So I'm going to be talking about right now our mandates and our responsibilities to build the national office of the African People's Solidarity Committee. Slide 8, please. So just to sum up really fast, again, African People's Solidarity Committee extends the African Revolution behind enemy lines. Next slide. And we know that this is a fight against colonialism, not racism, and we win white people to African internationalism. Next slide. The African People's Socialist Party leads the world revolution. Uhuru. Next slide. The African People's Socialist Party and Chairman Omali Shatella leads the African People's Solidarity Committee, and we unite with that unconditionally. Again, the party disbands APSC in our early years when we were enmeshed ourselves in opportunism and a foul contending white left line. Next slide. APSC and Uhuru Solidarity Movement fight for the party-led white reparations struggle that fractures the territorial integrity of the U.S. colonial state. Next slide. APSC and Uhuru Solidarity Movement are actively engaged in winning reparations from the white population, and reparations under the leadership of the party is our class struggle. Next slide. Again, winning reparations under the party's leadership is our class struggle. Next slide. APSC has been mandated by the party to target the white ruling class, the moneyed sector, and the 1% for reparations, especially in this time of crisis. Comrade Jesse is going to be talking more about this. Next slide. Our campaign to make Wall Street pay reparations, led by the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, and for the Reparations Legacy Campaign, coordinated by USM, brings together white people with access to social and generational wealth, based on sitting on the pedestal of African people, and we are calling on them to pay reparations to the African working class. Very exciting, and Jesse will talk more about it. Slide, please. And the office of the chair of APSC is mandated to fill out our national office. And, you know, we can see APSC is strong on so many fronts, but our national office is not strong. It is weak. And this is our goal for this coming year. We are building the national office of APSC, because otherwise we are just following, just in a state of anarchy, following whatever needs to be done instead of leading, which is what we have to do to make sure that everything is carried out, and we have a responsibility to implement our regional strategy. And we only have 2 regions that actually have regional organizers right now. Next slide. So the office of norm is, we don't have a leader of norm. So this is really a serious problem. I really want to thank Ali Ayello, who is the membership chair of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, who does a tremendous job and plays a huge role in the norm that exists. But we have to build our office of norm, and I really salute the office of the Director of Organization, Chimaranga Waller of the African People's Socialist Party, that presented earlier today. This is our goal. This is our #1 goal. Next slide. And we are mandating that the NTU Volunteer Brigade is used totally throughout APSC and USM, and it is in many fronts, but it is going to go to a whole new level in 2021. Next slide. And our regional strategy, as you can see here, our Western region was Comrade Stephanie. Now it is Comrade Ali Ayello, who moved from St. Pete to Oakland, which is very exciting. And then Comrade Hallie is an incredible Northern Regional APSC leader, and Mags, who is down on the left-hand bottom there, is the regional leader of the West Coast from Uhuru Solidarity Movement. So we have two openings. We have the Midwest and we have the Southern region, and these are the two national offices, some of the most central, important places and centers of the African People's Socialist Party. So this is a serious problem that we have to and will work to overcome and to solve this year. Next slide. So yeah, we had regional conferences on January 1st. It was very important. We will continue to do the regional organizing throughout this year. Next slide. And our number one goal is for APSC. We're going to have regional tours, and we are going to have regional organizing. Next slide. We're going to rebuild the Uhuru Solidarity Movement here in St. Louis in particular. Next slide. We're going to build Black Power Blueprint reparations, stand of reparations, which there is tremendous support among the white population here in St. Louis for the Black Power Blueprint and for the elections. Next slide. We are building our strategy for APSC fundraising. Uhuru Planet, as we will see in a minute, is the Black Star industry under the leadership of Deputy Chair that has been assigned to APSC to be a fundraiser for APSC, to have solidarity centers to do our work so that we can better build the movement for reparations to African people. We will also be including Buy Black Power and Uhuru cookies.
Uhuru, 1 minute.
Thank you. Next slide. And our goal is to build APSC units and regional committees. Next slide. To build USM branches in 10 cities. Next slide. We are going to be building in the UK, in Europe, and in Africa. And we are planning to go there, all of those places this year. And we're very excited. We have somebody that we are meeting and talking to in Occupied Tanzania, a white woman who's very open, and we're meeting with her to build a tour. We'll be talking more about that. It'll be later in the year. Next slide, please. So our program for 2021, we're going to recruit, we are going to build, we're going to fill out the offices of the National Office of APSC. Our theme is organization. Our mission is reparations. Our theory is African internationalism. And our leadership is Chairman Omali Shatella and the African People's Socialist Party. Next slide. So I am calling up Comrade Lisa Watson to take over from here.
Uhuru, Chairwoman Penny. I just want to salute the chairman, of course, and deputy chair and the whole NCC of the party, as well as my leadership, you, Chairwoman Penny, in APSC, and my leadership in the party's Department of Agitprop, Director Akile Anai. From the APSC Office of the Chair and APSC Agitprop, or promotions, our number one goal is to promote the chairman and the party, and this is something that all areas will be doing. And in APSC, we put all of the political education that we do and the promotions that we do in the context of the leadership, organization, and political education that has been provided by the chairman and the party. Another priority goal this year is that APSC members who are assigned to work in the APSP Department of Agitprop under Director Akile's leadership, we have a particular responsibility in this period to recruit North Americans with advanced skills in communications and technology to turn those skills over to the African Revolution, in particular to Agitprop, its media institutions, as a stance of reparations. I will be talking about some ways that we will be promoting APSC and engaging in the war of ideas to win white people to become African internationalists in this coming year, to build and grow the white solidarity front of the African Revolution.
I think
We
we're
will be,
behind.
what's that?
I think we're a few slides behind. You could just tell them to advance.
Well, I'm actually advancing this. Uh-oh,
Oh,
the
sorry.
slides aren't moving.
Okay.
Uh-oh. All right. Well, Jesse's going to take over where mine is froze. All right. So we're on slide 33, and it should say promote APSC at the top with brochure, the website, and there we go. All right. Thanks so much, Jesse. We'll be promoting APSC itself as the cadre organization of white people under the leadership of the party. This includes developing and improving branding guidelines, printed outreach material, APSC website, APSC social media, and photography so that we have our own photos. Next slide. We will be promoting Penny Hess as the chairwoman of APSC under the leadership of the party to build APSC. And we will be developing a new section of the APSC website to house Chairwoman Penny's whole body of work, the writings, the presentations, and it's going to be called the Overturning the Culture of Violence Project. Next slide. We will be continuing the APSC National Studies hosted by Chairwoman Penny Hess. And the goal of these studies is to deepen white people's understanding of African internationalism, to make us African internationalists, and to win white people to join APSC. And our next study is going to be March 10th. It's going to have the theme, It's Colonialism, Not Fascism, based on that section of the political report to the 2021 plenary, as well as other writings from the chairman on that topic. Next slide. We are revamping and relaunching Reparations in Action, the Solidarity podcast and radio show on Black Power 96. This show is scheduled to air beginning Friday, February 19th, and beginning with a 13-week series examining the history of the world as seen through the eyes of African and colonized people. Next slide. APSC will continue coordinating the monthly White Solidarity with Black Power column, edited by APSC Chairwoman Penny Hess, and for the Burning Spear newspaper. Next slide. APSC Agitprop is requiring that the APSC regions hold spear studies at least once per month. And, we'll just be leading around the area of making sure that the whole solidarity movement is studying as we should be all the time. So just turn it back to you, Chairwoman Penny. Thank you, Haru. Oh, Penny, you're muted.
Uhuru, sorry. Thank you, Lisa, so much for that great report. I'm very excited about it. And next up is Comrade Hallie, who is the chair of Uhuru Planet Reparations Apparel. Uhuru.
Thank you so much. Really deeply appreciate this whole plenary. So Uhuru, my name is Hallie Murray. I am chair of Uhuru Planet Reparations Apparel, and we're going to play a 1-minute video right now. So next slide. This video will show our product line, and thank you for all our sales last night at our live stream. Uhuru. Uhuru. All right. Thank you. So we can go to the next slide, number 40. Yeah, Uhuru Planet. Yeah, thanks for all the comments. Great. So thank you so much, AV. So next slide, or stay on this slide. I would really want to salute Chairman Omali Yeshitela and our leader in Black Star Industries, Deputy Chair Ona Zane Yeshitela. Huge salute to you, comrades. I work under the leadership of Deputy Chair in building this institution. Next slide. Uhuru Planet Reparations Apparel is a clothing line, an institution of the African People's Socialist Party. We are a subsidiary of and accountable to Black Star Industries. Uhuru Planet is the economic development institution of the African People's Solidarity Committee, APSC. And as you can see here, we sell t-shirts, hoodies, tote bags, literature, and so much more, all with the anti-colonial revolutionary message in support of reparations to the Black community. Next slide. Our mission is to forward the culture of white reparations to African people. We do this both through our product messaging on our shirts, as well as the sales of our products to forward the work of APSC. Next slide. I would like to salute our whole committee. First and foremost, salute to Chairwoman Penny Hess, who provides so much political leadership. So myself is the manager, Santosh helps with cost analysis, Johan is over distribution and wholesale orders, Jamie is our treasurer, Rachel over custom bulk screen print orders, Kara helps with our promotions, Wendy does many things, helping with grants, volunteers, and also is an artist who makes the journals on our site. Henry is a volunteer, and Mara is also a volunteer helping with our inventory in our studio and live sales events. So next slide. In 2020, Black Star Industries institution Uhuru Planet was brought directly under the leadership and training of Deputy Chair Ona Zane Yeshitela and her office. And this brought a very high professionalism to this institution, brought us to a whole new level. This professionalism is mandated by Black Star Industries. We met regularly along with other BSI institutions, UZI and Decolonies. These meetings deepened our accountability to Black Star Industries, and through this process, we met almost all of our mandates for 2020. Next slide. So last July, we moved into a production studio in a large maker space within the white community here in Somerville, Massachusetts. And through this connection, we have built relationships and have had access to resources in the white community. Here is where we print our t-shirts and fulfill orders. And our goal here is to also hold events and meetings after the pandemic. Next slide. Our goals for 2021 for Uhuru Planet is to become a serious revenue stream for APSC to be able to invest in solidarity centers. We will do this. We're committed to that. We will consolidate our committee and build our volunteer program to capacity. We will hire a full-time manager. We will complete our manual. We will build distribution points throughout the Uhuru movement and other stores across the country. And we will produce new designs that promote reparations. So next slide. If you haven't seen our site yet, please shop at uhuruplanet.com. And thank you so much. Uhuru.
Uhuru. Uhuru, thank you, Hallie. Thank you. What a great report. Really appreciate that and all the work you do. And next, it's my honor to bring up the leader of the Office of Reparations and Economic Development, directly under the Office of Deputy Chair Ona Zane Yeshitela, Director Kitty Riley, and Comrade Allison, Secretary General of the APSC, by the way.
Next slide. Uhuru. The African People's Solidarity Committee Office of Reparations and Economic Development, known as ORED, salutes the profound leadership of Chairman Omali Yeshitela and the political report to this plenary of the second plenary of the African People's Socialist Party 7th Congress. And can't say enough of the leadership that has provided for us for the coming year. We also want to salute the members of the African People's Socialist Party National Central Committee. And I also want to salute my direct leadership, and for those of us in ORED, Deputy Chair Ona Zane Yeshitela. It's a profound honor to participate in solidarity under the leadership of the African People's Socialist Party to build a future of liberation for African people and all of humanity. Next slide. ORED is the department of APSC working directly under the brilliant leadership of Deputy Chair Onizane Shatella, who is, as Chairman stated, building the infrastructure of the liberated African nation. We carry out and meet the party's goals for all the fronts assigned to us and ensure that the commitments of APSC's material solidarity are met and even exceeded. Reparations with the Uhuru movement institutions is revolutionary work for white people to overturn our violent history as Euro-Americans. Next slide. ORED salutes APSC Chairwoman Penny Hess, who has led APSC reparations work under the party's leadership for 45 years. Uhuru. Next slide. I'd like to introduce the ORED Executive Committee and members that I have the honor of working with and chairing. I chair representing AOBS and the Black Power Blueprint projects. We have our ORED Vice Chair, APSC Secretary General Allison, who is the manager of Uhuru Furniture Philly. We have Maureen Wagner, who is the director of Uhuru Foods and Pies, and the grants team. We have Janice Kant, who represents Uhuru Foods and Pies St. Pete, and also leadership roles on the grants and the AOBS donor campaign. We have Stephanie Midler, who is the project manager of ORED, and also the manager of Uhuru Furniture and Collectibles in Oakland. Also, other members of ORED, I want to salute almost all of which actually carry very critical roles, in the party's institutions and solidarity. We've got Janine, secondary leadership in Uhuru Furniture Oakland. We've got Raya, leadership roles across many fronts. We've got Ruby, leadership in Uhuru Furniture Philly. We've got Renee on the whole Black Power Blueprint appreciations and works in Philly. We've got Kara over the whole recruitment and staffing, a very important position in Uhuru Foods. In Oakland, we've got Opa, who is a longtime Uhuru Movement Solidarity member who works with the One Africa, One Nation market in Philly. We've got Joe, longtime One Africa, One Nation, Uhuru Furniture Philly. We have Lily, who is now just relocated to France and will really be playing a key role moving forward, as Chairwoman Penny said, with the travel coming up. We have Pete, longtime Solidarity member, who is in Uhuru Foods and Pies in Oakland. Next slide. I mean, nationally, actually, but in Oakland. Okay. Next slide, Allison. Keep that slide, Allison.
Uhuru. I want to unite with ORED Director Kitty in saluting the plenary, the chairman, deputy chair, and our chairwoman, Penny Hess. As our reparations assignment, solidarity members in the party's institutions carry out the responsibility to take a cadre stand, to solve problems and lead the day-to-day management under the leadership of Deputy Chair Onizane Shatella and the Office of the Deputy Chair. We carry out the party's strategy to build the institutions as the political, economic, and cultural hubs of the party's regions and win and influence a broad base in unity with African self-determination. Next slide. The colonial virus and pandemic pushed us to implement the various strategies that Deputy Chair called for, to go to the people and deeply win these institutions, driven and led by African self-determination. Uhuru Furniture began going live and doing online sales. In 2020, Uhuru Furniture carried out the mandate to build the APDF donor base through the GoFundMe and Giving Tuesday campaigns, and developing a real donor program under the protocols established by the Africans 1 Billion Strong campaign. Next slide. Solidarity works in Uhuru Foods and Pies with regional party leaders, navigating the pandemic by building relationships. Uhuru Foods and Pies expanded the strategy to sell pies and handheld products through wholesaling and at markets. APSC and Uhuru Pies participated in deepening old relationships and opening up new relationships with foundations, community businesses, and farmers. Next slide. Important partnerships have been built with Cliff Bar, Humble Sea Brewery, Step and Aisha Curry's Eat, Learn, Play Foundation, and more. This led to the expansion of production to meet the challenge of baking and distributing 1,000 pies in one day for Christmas with the Currys in Oakland. These relationships are unfolding based on the recognition of the influence of the party and the Uhuru movement in Oakland since the late 1970s. Next slide.
The party's leadership has brought about a tremendous increase of donors to every front of the party. Africans 1 Billion Strong, African People's Education and Defense Fund, the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, the Uhuru Furniture Stores, Black Star Industries, and Uhuru Foods and Pies. Many donors are finding the party and recognizing the programs of the Black Power Blueprint as creating real change and empowering the African working class community completely. Many are donating to the party's institutions because they want to support African self-determination. Next slide. An important development this year has been building the social media capacity under the leadership of Nze Masimba that reaches the African world. We also see advances from institutionalizing the donor recognition and retention and appreciation program and building teams across every U.S. entity, every Uhuru, entity, which is, of course, in the U.S., to carry out the program to respond to the influx of new donors and steward them to deeper unity, increased participation, and donations. Next slide.
Deputy Chair called together the mighty Grants Steering Committee, who carried out the party's strategy to go to the moneyed sector. They moved with urgency and fought for and won many grants from foundations, government agencies, and companies to shore up the economic institutions impacted by the colonial virus shutdown. During this period of heightened African resistance, granting agencies and foundations united to fund African self-determination for the first time. Next slide.
ORED participates under the leadership of Deputy Chair in the Black Power Blueprint, a most visible manifestation of the party's intent to govern. As the project's manager, I am assigned to coordinate the project's work and recruit and lead volunteer teams, bringing skills from the white community forward to forward the Black Power Blueprint. In 2020, the Black Power Blueprint completed the outdoor venue for the One Africa, One Nation Marketplace, the stage in Gary Brooks Black Power Community Garden. Former LRA buildings were demolished and the housing for the African Independence Workforce Program was renovated. Behind enemy lines, Solidarity members participated in the strategic struggle of APEDF versus the LRA in the fight for territory, land, for Black Power. Next slide.
So ORED's key goals for 2021 are, one, as the party is rapidly growing and blossoming all around the world, as we see from this plenary, APSC and ORED's responsibility is to create a plan of action to increase the material solidarity from all APSC areas to the African People's Socialist Party. Number two, to implement the Uhuru NTU volunteer program to build the capacity of the Office of Reparations of Economic Development of APSC. To three, hold ORED events with Chairman Omalia Shatella and Deputy Chair Ona Zinea Shatella to deepen the question of reparations and the anti-colonial economy, coinciding with May Day and Labor Day. And four, to carry out the party's mandates and vision for the growth and reproduction of all the party's institutions that APSC has responsibility in. Uhuru.
Uhuru, thank you, comrades. That was an excellent report and very exciting. And I know we heard a lot more in the Office of Deputy Chair. Thank you very much for that. And next, on to the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, featuring Chair Jesse Neville and Vice Chair Amanda Carlozzi.
Uhuru, Chairwoman Penny, thank you so much, and salute to all of the presenters, SG Ali, ORED Director Kitty, Comrade Hallie, and yourself, Chairwoman Penny. And it is a great honor to present this report. I want to start by saluting the African People's Socialist Party, our leadership, the vanguard of the African Revolution, Chairman Omali Yeshitela and Deputy Chair Onezene Yeshitela, and this entire incredible worldwide revolutionary party that they lead, and this historic plenary that has been so profound. And I also want to salute the leadership of Chairwoman Penny Hess, not only for the last 45 years of unwavering struggle for reparations and solidarity with African liberation under the leadership of the party, but also for the daily ongoing leadership that Chairwoman Penny Hess provides to the Uhuru Solidarity Movement and to myself specifically in leading and pushing forward the work of USM under the leadership of the party. So I also want to appreciate Comrade Vice Chair Amanda Carlozzi, who will be giving this presentation with me today. And I want to start by saluting all of the members of the National Steering Committee of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. I have the honor to be the national chair of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, the mass organization of APSC. And Amanda is our vice chair and national treasurer. She does an amazing job. Ali is our membership chair and was our Southern Regional chair when this presentation was made. Sorry, I'm looking at okay. Kyle is our info ed coordinator, and Kyle's work is very powerful. Everyone has experienced it in some form or another. Mads over the Western region, located in Portland. Hallie in Boston is our Northern Regional chair and brings so much leadership to all of the work nationally. And Monica, who coordinates the birthday fundraisers. So all of these comrades take a profound stance in building the mass movement for white reparations to African people under the leadership of the APSP. And I am going to multitask and talk to you as I pull up this video, but I just want to say that it is a great honor to, there we go. It is an honor to present this report on the work of APSC as expressed through its mass political organization, the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. And the Uhuru Solidarity Movement in the year 2020 was focused on carrying out the People's War strategy of the African People's Socialist Party in the form of the political campaign to target the white ruling class, the moneyed sector, with the revolutionary demand for reparations to African people. During a time when the stark colonial contradictions faced by African people became raw and exposed, with billionaires increasing their clutches on African people's stolen wealth by trillions of dollars, while Africans and colonized peoples faced brutal, deepening conditions of colonial oppression and poverty. The party, the chairman, and deputy chair assigned the Uhuru Solidarity Movement to initiate a campaign to make Wall Street pay reparations, to demand that the Wall Street banks, the CEOs, the corporations, they have to pay what they owe. They have to pay because Wall Street and the wealth of parasitic capitalism were built on the enslavement of African people and the ongoing looting and exploitation of African resources and labor. And as Chairwoman Penny has said, as Chairman Omali Yeshitela has said, the genuine stand of class struggle for white people is in the struggle against our own ruling class, the 1%. Repair the damage, turn over the stolen loot towards the African Revolution. So we're going to show you a video that gives you a glimpse of the year of political action held by USM in this past year in the context of a political period of African resistance that, as Chairwoman Penny has said, was brought into fruition by the leadership of Chairman Omali Yeshitela and the African People's Socialist Party that mobilized millions of white people to go into the streets of this country for months without end. So this was the way that the party called on USM to intervene in that situation and bring the revolutionary demand for reparations. So I'm going to show you a quick video and we'll be right back.
to contribute specifically to programs that help to negate the power and the influence of the banks.
We stand in solidarity with the understanding that Black power matters.
$75 to go. All right, Uhuru. Back to our slideshow. So just want to salute Kyle M for his work on that video. And thank you, Kyle W, for your leadership in working with our new volunteer, Kyle M. Shout out to the NTU Volunteer Brigade and deputy chairs struggle for that program that has already made a huge difference in USM in the time that we've been implementing it. And I am hopefully now back on the slideshow. Okay, so the Uhuru Solidarity Movement has members in 148 cities in the US and in 36 states. We also have members in London and other places in Europe where we are working to build this year. And we have established contacts in occupied Azania, thanks to the work of Chair Tafari Mugeri. And we are very excited to go forward with that and build a tour in occupied Azania in this upcoming year. Our main campaign in this past period, as you just saw in that video, was the Make Wall Street Pay Reparations Political Action Campaign. More recently, because as Deputy Chair has struggled for, it is one thing to demonstrate, but we have to bring in the resources. We have to bring in the resources. We have to actually get this stolen wealth into the hands of the African Revolution. So we have launched a new organizational front of USM called the Reparations Legacy Project, which is a campaign to organize white wealthy people who have access to wealth based on the colonial capitalist extraction of wealth from African and colonized people to take part in repairing the damage of colonial slavery and ongoing exploitation of African people through funding the Black-led self-determination and economic development programs of the Uhuru movement, such as the Black Power Blueprint. And I want to salute the Reparations Legacy Project Steering Committee. And this is not even everybody who's on this committee, because we held an incredible organizing conference on January 23rd with Chairman Amalia Shatella, Chairwoman Penny Hess, and Deputy Chair Onozane Shatella that recruited a whole new slew of people into this committee. But I do want to shout out Comrade Amanda, Len, Laura, Hallie, Kyle, Allie, Johan, Eva, Mads, Jamie, Nick, Marissa, Sarah, Monica, Declan, and also Leah Fifield, who just joined this committee and is bringing so much to it, and Mara and other people. There's a lot of people that are not in this picture because new people are joining this committee all the time. So looking back at this past year, in 2020, USM held over 30 actions throughout the US, targeting Bank of America in particular. In St. Louis, in St. Petersburg, and in addition to our press conference with Chairman Amalia Shatella that made national news, in San Diego, in Philadelphia, in Portland, in Boston, and in New York. And we were very honored to have at many of those demonstrations party members who spoke, including President Kalambayi Ndinet, Vice President Matsamela Odom, Chicharo Masimba, and others who spoke at these powerful demonstrations. And I'm going to turn it over now to Comrade Amanda.
Uhuru. Thank you, Jesse. I just want to. Uhuru. Yeah, you're welcome.
Just do it through mine.
Aru, thank you, Jesse. I just want to start by saluting the chairman, deputy chair, Chairwoman Penny Hess, and I also want to salute the chair of USM, Jesse, for his incredible leadership over this organization. So this year, Chairman Armand Chatella gave a powerful presentation in front of Bank of America in St. Petersburg, demanding that the company pay reparations to anti-colonial economic programs that negate the influence and power of banks like Bank of America over the lives of African people. This press conference got local and national media coverage. Next slide. In the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic, USM switched gears with our annual national convention, which was held under the theme Reparations Uprising. And instead of holding it in St. Louis in person, we held it on Zoom, the first time we have ever done our convention virtually. It turned out to be a powerful success, raising more reparations for the party than any other convention we ever held. Next slide. USM has the honor of coordinating the birthday fundraisers for reparations campaign, where we mobilize supporters of African self-determination to host online and offline fundraisers for the African People's Education and Defense Fund. This campaign, under the leadership of Monica Chiodi, was very successful in 2020, surpassing its goal from any previous year. Next slide. This year, we determined that due to the pandemic, we were unfortunately not able to hold our usual October speaking tour called The Days of Reparations to African People, but we decided that if we can't mobilize the masses of white people at indoor events, then we just needed to take it outside. Therefore, we organized the National March for Reparations to African People, a continuation of the party and APSC's long tradition of holding marches against genocide, and for reparations spanning back over 30 years. The March for Reparations was held in 6 cities in the US: Portland, St. Louis, St. Petersburg, Philadelphia, Minneapolis, and San Diego, where the march garnered powerful media coverage. Next slide. As part of the March for Reparations campaign, we held a fund drive on Fundly.com, where we mobilized our members and supporters to make a pledge of reparations to the African liberation movement. The March for Reparations to African People more than doubled what we raised from the Days of Reparations in 2019, with hundreds of donors from around the country contributing. The culmination of our year was the magnificent second annual 24-hour reparations telethon for Giving Tuesday for the Black Power Blueprint. The Giving Tuesday 24-hour telethon was jam-packed with amazing guests, including our very own Chairman Armand Chatella and Deputy Chair Onasnei Chatella. Thanks to the Black Power Blueprint volunteer Julia, we had an amazing series of slides and videos about where the money was going, which was the fourplex housing program of the African Independence Workforce Program in St. Louis. DC owner and chairman announced during our telethon that the apartments would be named for African political prisoners and freedom fighters. Thanks to the profound leadership of the party, we raised over $10,000 in 24 hours for the Black Power Blueprint.
Now, this year, 2021, and going forward, based on our unity with the struggles from Deputy Chair and Chairman Amali Chatella and the party to really unite with and internalize the mandates to escalate our reparations work in the moneyed population of white society, including both our ruling class banks, corporations, and regular white people who have access to financial and social wealth, land, technology, and other resources, we will build the Reparations Legacy Project as our main campaign with a goal to increase our pledge to the party by 700% by the year 2023, and that's the bare minimum. On June 12th, we will be holding a major public convention to invite, business leaders, CEOs, corporate heads, and wealthy white people in general to our first public convention of the Reparations Legacy Project on June 12th. We also unite with the struggle by the chairman and deputy chair that the implementation of the regional strategy is the only means by which we can achieve the political goals of this historic period. Towards this end, we will focus on consolidating USM regional committees and branches with the goal to build at least 10 branches by the end of 2021. You can see some of the places, it's more than 10, but you can see some of the places here that we are focusing on building. And we will be holding mass regional conferences in March to further mobilize our members and contacts in each region to build the regional committee. We will be doing regional organizing tours, both on the ground and online, in February and March and in July through September to build USM recruitment and to build the Reparations Legacy Project. And on April 17th and 18th, USM will hold our national convention of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement. We're very honored and excited to feature Chairman Amalia Shatella, Chairwoman Penny Hess, and other leaders and members of the Uhuru Movement and the Solidarity Movement. That is not something you want to miss, and more information is going to be coming out about that this upcoming week. Let me turn it back over to Amanda.
In 2021, USM will build toward our ultimate tour, which is the Days of Reparations to African People campaign in October, coordinated as part of our massive, multifaceted outreach, fundraising, and recruitment campaign. Our goal is to hold Days of Reparations in at least 10 cities, and hopefully beyond the US in London, South Africa, and elsewhere. The Days of Reparations tour is our self-criticism as white people for our historic complicity in the enslavement and colonialization of African people, our tribute to the African Revolution, and our collective organized expression of reparations to African people. Next slide. One of our most significant campaigns, which was led by Leah Fifield throughout most of the second half of 2020, is the Reparations Challenge. Comrade Leah had to step down from this role due to a family emergency, but continues to host an incredible acupuncture fundraiser that brings in hundreds of dollars in reparations every month. We also plan to incorporate this campaign into the Reparations Legacy Project. The Reparations Challenge calls on white people to use their skills, talents, and interests to coordinate events and fundraisers for reparations to the Uhuru movement. It is about building the culture of reparations to African people. Next slide.
Uhuru, 4 minutes and 30 seconds.
Uhuru. We also plan to continue building and growing the campaign for the birthday fundraisers for reparations as a source of revenue for the programs of APDF. Next slide. And most importantly, USM is adopting the NTU Volunteer Brigade program, which is brought into existence by the Office of Deputy Chair and has already had a tremendous impact on the work inside of USM during the short amount of time that we have been working to implement it. Our goal is to normalize the use of NTU recruitment and protocols throughout every facet of USM's work. Laura Brown is going to be coordinating this. Next slide. We will be holding a Make Wall Street Pay Reparations media campaign and political action. I'm going to turn it back over to Jesse. Uhuru.
Uhuru. So that brings us to the end of our report. I just want to once again salute the leadership of the African Revolution, Chairman Amalia Shatella, Deputy Chair Onozanea Shatella, and APSC Chairwoman Penny Hess for your leadership in this period. We are very excited to go forward, build USM, build the Reparations Legacy Project, and make Wall Street pay reparations. Uhuru.
Thank you, Jesse, Chair Jesse and Amanda, for such a dynamic report. That was very, very exciting. And just coming to the end of our APSC report, I want to say, first of all, that everybody who is, all white people who are not a member of the Uhuru Solidarity Movement should become a member at uhurusolidarity.org. But we also make the call for white people to become cadre, to do what has to be done for our assignment to carry out the strategic revolutionary assignment that we have been given to go behind enemy lines, to unleash the reparations, to solve problems, to lead, to build, and to build the African People's Solidarity Committee under the leadership of the African Revolution, the African People's Socialist Party. And this year, again, our goals are to build APSC, to make Wall Street pay reparations, to fill out a regional structure, to open solidarity centers, and to build the National Office of Recruitment and Membership. So,
Uhuru, 2 minutes.
To Uhuru to join and to say unity through reparations. Uhuru. Uhuru. That is the end of our report, but a lot of times the chairman likes to have input. I wanted to know if the chairman and or deputy chair had anything that they wanted to say or add or critique or have any input on this report. Uhuru.
Uhuru, comrade, I want to express appreciation for the report, and I think that everything that you said contributes, I believe, to a deeper understanding of the basis for the existence of APSC and the Solidarity Movement, and just how important this has been from the perspective of the party in the African Revolution. Clearly, it is important because it does fracture this absolute reactionary unity of the white population. And it does, speak to that. And so that's important, obviously, to us, because we got a revolution to make. And to the extent that unity is fractured, then obviously it facilitates our revolutionary objective. But the other thing I think is really important about it, and we have gone through struggles. I was glad that you acknowledged that in this report, because there shouldn't be any assumption that that this has been a relationship without contradictions, without struggles. And if that were the case, then we would be philosophical idealists, and there wouldn't be any basis for our philosophy. We would be dead wrong about what we assume about how people come to consciousness, and their consciousness is affected by the material basis, economic basis in society. It is an economic basis in society that influences, informs, and shapes the consciousness of white people, the colonizer. And the truth is, I saw someone make an error in this regard recently, and it's that the white population, all the white population, constitute a colonizer population. Every white person, just about in the world, could be considered a colonizer. But the thing is that human beings are distinguished by this thing called consciousness, and to the extent that that consciousness has been liberated, to the extent we succeed in liberating that consciousness, and what I mean by liberating is separating from this bestial capacity for human beings to be simply motivated by their bellies, by their sex urge, by things like that, because that doesn't distinguish us as human beings from other animals. The thing is consciousness. And so the people have to have access to their consciousness. And African internationalism is one of those things that gives people access to the consciousness. There is a science of society that we can understand. And that's extremely important. So that's one of the things I want to say, that the significance of the African People's Solidarity Committee, because for peoples around the world, there's this mystery about white people, truly, because peoples haven't experienced this kind of bestiality, cruelty, and you can count the scores and hundreds of millions of people who have died from white people, from India, throughout Africa, the so-called slave trade, and look at Hiroshima alone, Nagasaki alone, Vietnam alone, the 11 to 15 million Africans who died in Congo alone. So there has been this question of who the hell are these forces, and because of that, various theories have been put forward. And which, from a perceptual point of view, are not necessarily unreasonable. I mean, a very brilliant woman came up with the assumption that white people are mutations. They're mutants, and somebody else, if you're religious, declared that the white man is the devil, and that's the Nation of Islam. And then, of course, you had Khomeini from Iran, talked about America as the great Satan. But we understand there's a material basis for white people do and what is done, and we grab that and expressing and exposing that material basis. It helps to at least to some extent moderate, subdue the emotional content of the analysis that we might be trying to put forward. There's a material basis for it. So if there's a material basis for it, let's look at it and then see, like how we can understand it and what that means in terms of the strategies that we develop. If there's a material basis for it, then it can be effective. It doesn't have to be like it wasn't from God. It wasn't from some mutant. It wasn't from any of this. There's a material basis for it. Let's look at it. And then that's one of the things that's really been important with the APSC and APSC, the Solidarity Front of our party. The Solidarity Front of our party helps us to demonstrate that not just in words and theory, but the practice. And the Solidarity Front of our party is a material manifestation of African internationalism. It is actually something that helps to make that a real statement, or as opposed to just some fanciful, purely abstract discussion that we would have about white people. So I think inside the party, and this was one of the difficult things for many people who came into the party, coming into the party, or whether I should join that party, is those white people, and to the extent, and it's been deep and profound. And I don't know how the settlers, understand this thing. And I can see how for many, many, many years, the settlers didn't understand it because nobody dared to say it. Because if you say that you died, you get killed, you get destroyed. And all the books we read and all the movies we see and all the sermons we hear all have the settlers, the colonizer, as the actual subjects of history. And we've simply been objects of history. So our opinion has never intruded into discussion that white people have about yourselves or about the rest of the world. And suddenly this angry mass of African people have overcome many of the kinds of limitations in our ability to speak and sometimes to think. And that challenges some of these, how people have perceived the world for a long time. And finally, white people are beginning to learn some things about yourself, because you're not just measuring yourself by your own opinions. Now you have to measure yourself by the opinions of the peoples of the world. And I think that's just been really important. I've overstated this as I have a tendency to do from time to time. But I just want to say it was a great presentation. And I just want to salute you, Comrade Chairwoman Penny Hess, my dear Comrade Chairwoman Penny Hess. I mean, your courage and your integrity, for, I don't know, I guess known you now for close to half a century, and you've boldly done things that have made it possible for other colonizers to do, to free themselves. Also, you become the practical example of the ability to do that, to liberate yourselves from these outmoded, backwards, reactionary stances and uhudu.
For her, Chairman, I mean, it's the leadership of you, your courage, and the African working class leadership that uplifts us. And I just want to say one comment, and thank you for your what you were just summing up, but just how you're saying that it's science, that the whole question of the relationship of white people and the deployment of white people is science, and also serves a purpose in the strategy of the African Revolution. And it's just, I guess, I don't know if it's right to say that this is a really profound dialectic, but yet at the same time, it is something very profound in a personal way for white people, because it changes our lives and it puts us into the beginnings of an honest relationship. It rectifies, it's our self-criticism, and it rectifies our relationship to African people and puts us, just into a relationship with the people on the planet Earth. And that is so profound. So I just want to thank you. And I think perhaps we have a few minutes. I don't know if Deputy Chair would like to come on as well. We would love her, her too, if she would like to. And Uhuru.
Chairwoman Penny, well, I think Uhuru. Well, I just think that the gentleman kind of really summed it up, but I was just thinking about the political and economic is one, and when I look at this report and I see, 30 actions that were done, even in a pandemic, that we know that the political is what drives the economic, and I think that we have really got it down to a science within APSC and USM, and I am really all the reports were great. I just really want to salute all the comrades, and I am looking really forward to working with the Reparation Legacy Project, and that's going to be really cool. I think that we need to start, I just been thinking about some of the things that we had talked about before about going into the banks with our suitcase, and asking for these money and just really taking on what it means for these corporations and these banks and institutions to see themselves, as the colonizer and seeing themselves as the that they have to pay reparations for all the wrongs that they've done to African people and oppressed peoples around the world. So all the reports again was amazing, and I look forward to this coming year, and also look forward to us going into occupied Tanzania, and South Africa to take that on as well. So yes, Uhuru. And one thing that I didn't see, and maybe it's going to be in the regional reports, and because I believe that this ties into everything that we're talking about when we're talking about the reparations, is the grants. And I don't think I heard that mentioned, and maybe I missed it when I stepped out, and I didn't know if it would be covered in the regional reports or not. But I think that's going to be a significant area that we can really capitalize on, as well. So yeah.
Uhuru, I unite, and it's I think Kitty did raise that in her report just briefly, though very briefly. But thank you, Deputy Chair, and I just want to make sure that, and thank you so much for all the leadership and just your struggle and your leadership and just how you do everything, which is so brilliant, how you lead. And I want to just see if there are any questions, and I want to salute the National Central Committee of APSC again, just such incredible comrades. I can't even say just how deep it is. These revolutionary comrades that I have the honor of working with, and that are committed cadre of African internationalism and under the leadership of the party. And I would just like to, if anybody is on this call that wants to say anything, or anybody, if there are any questions in any of the chats or any other comments from anybody.
Uhuru. Yeah, there are some questions, but before I get to that real quick, I just wanted to make a real quick announcement, and that is that Union de Barrio is donating $30 a month, which equals out to $360 for the year. I just wanted to put that out. Uhuru. Yes, indeed. And so there is a question, and first one is from Stephanie in Oakland, and she says, Uhuru, salute the leadership of Chairwoman Penny Hess. And her question is regarding our goals for 2021, that the goal to build the office of the chair be named.
Yes, indeed. Well, the National Office of APSC and the Office of the Chair is, of course, the center of that. And that's what we're saying, that is the number one goal. That's what we're about. That's what we have to do. Because if we don't do that, then it's like the tail wags the dog, that there has to be the ability of the National Office of APSC to have an infrastructure in place in a really strong way to be able to coordinate and make sure and hold accountable all the different work that we are responsible for.
And we do have another question, and this is from Matamela in San Diego. And he says, Uhuru, I know there are some members in Canada. Can you speak a little more on the organization there and in other settler colonies like Australia and South Africa?
Uhuru, 5 minutes.
Thank you. Well, we are, I know that there are people in Solidarity. I think there are members in Canada, and I'll have Jesse talk about that in a minute, but I know I have been there, and I think SG Alley and I went to Toronto for a really great event. That's a great white place that we have to be and organize, and also a place with a lot of resources. So we definitely, and as well as British Columbia and, all throughout. I mean, it's just US North. And we do intend to build there in a strong way. And I'll let Jesse, I know we have some members in Britain and Amsterdam, I think. Jesse, if you want to.
Yes, I unite with what you just said. It's something that we're going to be putting a lot more focus on this year, really working with our contacts and members in Canada, in the UK, and even in Australia and Spain. We do have contacts, so we're going to be forming a committee to really work with those forces and try to start building something on the ground in those places. And I'm really excited about that. And I also just wanted to mention really quick, I put it in the chat too, but just in terms of what Deputy Chair was raising about the grants, that the Reparations Legacy Project has been working with the Grants Committee, and we are adopting that strategy as a key part of the Reparations Legacy Project. And actually, during this plenary, Comrade Leah in Minneapolis stepped forward and volunteered to lead up the grants process for the Reparations Legacy Project. So that I'm excited to say, Uhuru, this plenary has been very inspiring, and it's been making some leaps and bounds already. So we're working on a few grants at the moment, and I really want to appreciate Deputy Chair's office and Maureen and Janice and Wendy for the leadership from the Grants Committee. It's been amazing, and I'm excited to really deepen that and take that on from the Reparations Legacy Project. Uhuru.
Uhuru, Chairwoman, can I say some things too?
Yes.
Well, first of all, salute you so much and the report, and Chairman and Deputy Chair, but I really appreciate the report, really appreciate the leadership of Jesse Neville and the Uhuru Solidarity Movement, and the leadership of Secretary General and Kitty from ORED. So regarding the grants, the thing Deputy Chair was saying about the political and economic are one, the whole demand for reparations and the whole resistance of African people is what has actually shook loose any of the grants we've gotten so far, even if they have to come through the party's nonprofit. So, I really see the Reparations Legacy Campaign as important, and the grants as there are no excuses. You have to give this money to the African Revolution. You can't just say, well, it has to go through a foundation. The party has that covered, so working it together, political and whatever, there's always a way for people to contribute. And Jesse said, we're right now in the process of reviewing a grant specifically to these white, wealthy youth who have a lot of money, and they talk about reparations, but they really mean charity. When they use the term reparations, they're talking about charity, and we have to break that up. Politically, it all has to be turned over, because they start these foundations and they say, we're doing reparations and we're going to give out $10,000 grants. No, it all belongs to African people, and we got to work together between the grants and USM and break that up and get it all. Uhuru.
Uhuru, 1 minute.
And I just really wanted to salute you, Maureen, for also Comrade Raya for the Comrade of the Year from APSC.
Thank you,
Very
Chairman.
much an honor to work with you, comrades.
Uhuru.
Uhuru. All right, so I think that we have to wrap it up. If there's
Uhuru, Penny, you guys actually have until 3:20 for this workshop. So, and there's more questions. So I
Yes,
just.
we do have some more questions.
Thank you.
There is another question from Nasir in Kuwait.
Okay.
And he says, can Comrade Penny speak to the racial equality trainings often promoted by the white left? I saw one today that is charging thousands for a workshop on racial equality and liberation leadership training.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a whole political economy in this country. The anti-racism or unlearning racism, or, there's all different words for it. People make as much as $7,000 for giving something like that. And, white people can spend a weekend or a couple of weeks or however long it takes to go into that and basically be about unlearning your racism and changing the ideas in your head. But then when it's over, African people still go back to the colonial situation, are still being gunned down by the police, and nothing has changed. And white people still go back to our neighborhoods as the colonizers. So, I mean, as the chairman says, the struggle against racism is a self-defeating waste of time. And it's a waste of time that not only makes a ton of money for some people, but it also basically upholds the system of parasitism and says it can be improved, that everything can work out under it. And of course, that is absolutely a lie, because the chairman has shown in every way how colonialism and the state is out there. How that is what affects the lives and oppresses African people and other colonized people inside the borders of the United States and around the world. So, yeah, it's a big scam. The struggle against, if you're serious about it and rectifying our relationship, the African people, then join the Uhuru Solidarity Movement of the African People's Solidarity Committee, get on board with reparations as a revolutionary demand as defined by the leadership of the African Revolution and the African working class. Uhuru.
Uhuru. We have another question from Comrade Yamone from Los Angeles, California. Are you all working to organize in the Ivy League universities?
In the Ivy League? Well, I mean, we will definitely go there, because in even more than, other things in some ways, the Ivy League universities have been exposed as being funded by owners of African people and owners of plantations and people who owned ships and went to Africa and kidnapped African people. That's what, the hallowed halls of Harvard and Yale and all that. And every once in a while they lift a finger and use the word reparations, but nothing about it has changed. And, it's part of the pillars of imperialism and parasitic capitalism that's out there. So, yeah, I mean, this struggle has to be brought everywhere, from, the halls of, of the Ivy League universities to, the local community college. I mean, the question is, white people owe reparations to African people. Uhuru.
Uhuru.
Uhuru. And we do have another question, and this is from Kat Jones, and it's she's on YouTube. And this is the question that's going to be directed to the chairman, but the question reads, Uhuru, Chairwoman Penny, how would you suggest reparations be distributed? And are we demanding reparations for Africans in Africa as well as the diaspora? And again, this is the question for the chairman.
The answer is yes, because, and the chairman, I don't know if you want to come on and address this, but as the chairman has made really clear, reparations as defined by the African People's Socialist Party is a revolutionary demand. That means there's not even a number, really, because it's all owed. Everything. When the chairman says that that African people have produced and reproduced real life, that means not only the work, the labor, the intellectual property, the brilliance, the the talents, and everything, including babies and the children of African people, have been produced to feed the colonizer. Everything is owed. The system has to come down. Chairman, I'm turning this over to you.
Well, yeah, we're talking about Africa. The fact of the matter is, the only reason we can talk about reparations for African people in the United States is because of the attack on Africa.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as quiet as it's kept, the white man lies when he says that our history began in some kind of Mississippi cotton patch or cotton plantation. And I see that there are some Negro intellectuals who talk about history. I just saw a promotion for some kind of book that's just come out recently or being promoted because it's so-called Black History Month. And it talks about how the African Americans, somehow our history began in this country. African people, and this is a part of what we are owed reparations for. This assault on our memory as a people. This notion that somehow we were given birth by the rape and brutal attack on Africa and our people. And I say rape, that's an understatement of what's happened to us everywhere on earth.